crunch, bring it back, single leg sweep. Let me teach you how to wrestle. Okay. Let me teach you how to wrestle.
All right, we are back with Vito. Another great Wrestling Mindset interview. How's everything going, champ?
It's going good. It's going good. Training.
Awesome. So talk about the upcoming EIWAs, right? That's the next thing we have. I always loved wrestling there, and you have some common opponents, people that you've wrestled before. Crookham. Talk about your thoughts towards this, your mindset.
Yeah, of course. Definitely EIWAs, obviously need to do well if I want to go to nationals. But yeah, it's something that I'm familiar with, senior year. So this is going to be my fourth EIWA, and I'm no stranger to having some good competition at the tournament. I've wrestled Glory multiple times in the finals, wrestled Koliyoko last year, all pretty solid guys. And now, we have Koliyoko and Crookham are going to be probably the two heavy hitters in my weight. So, go take it how I would any other tournament. My prep is the same. My, mental state the same, and just go out there and, do my best.
Exactly. And that's always the key to success. And then the things people always want to hear about, talk about your mindset going in, possibly going up against someone to avenge a loss. I know it's really treating it all the same, but talk about your thoughts towards all that. How you've developed over the course of the season, things like that.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to, and I did this last year, where, I lost to Latona, and then at the NCAA tournament, I got, all fired up. I wanted to, show everybody there was a fluke. I wanted to go out there and kind of just, run it off the scoreboard. And that led to, mistakes in my wrestling. That led me to be a little overzealous at times. And that led me, he got the first takedown and then I got a reversal, but then he got a reversal as well. Just because I'm not focused on what I was doing, right? I was just doing, I was focused on achieving a certain score in the match. And that's something that isn't good for me. So when I focus on just wrestling, doing the best actions in the moment, just allowing myself to go through the process of, entering the zone and really getting in the competitor's mindset and just allowing the wrestling to happen. Because, I'm a highly trained athlete. I have very good muscle memory. These moves are well trained. So allowing myself to just wrestle is the best thing I can do. When, you get kind of caught in this tunnel of, I want to win by this much, or I want to go out and do this, then you're taking away mental energy from, the wrestling. So, hopefully I've learned my lesson, and, this time around, I'm just going to go out there and, wrestle the best match I can. And, I think that's the best way to go about putting points on the board.
Yeah, agreed completely. A lot of times we get caught up in trying to do either too much, or, like you said, just trying to prove something or right or wrong, but that's really just nonsense. It's extra stuff. It has no bearing at all on the wrestling in and of itself. Oh, great. And then how's your health? How are you feeling overall?
Health is good. I've been dealing with a little bit of more injury this season than I would like. I've been off the mat for a couple of duels, but we're gearing up. We're kind of peaking for this end of the season sprint. So I think my preparation is good. I think my mental is in a good place. The physical just got to follow, and everything will work out.
That's right. What are some of the things you do now during this time of year? So between now and the IWAs, and then between then and the nationals, that you're doing for yourself mentally and emotionally? Is there anything extra you're doing, or is there a certain plan that you follow just as a general rule? I know we saw it a little bit about it on your biography on Flow, which was awesome. But talk about that a little bit. What's your normal mental routine like?
Yeah. So, in the morning, in the night, when I wake up before I go to bed. I like to do a little bit of mental work. I like to just imagine wrestling. Um, Imagine the feeling that I want to feel. What it is that I want to happen, and then imagining things going absolutely perfect. I'm going out and running up the scoreboard and just being a super dominant and exactly what I want. And then going back and doing it over, and this time it being super difficult, right? Just the hardest it possibly can be with me still succeeding. Um, and really gearing myself up, preparing myself to, you know, go out there and be able to dominate, but also be prepared in case, a tough fight is needed. I think that's important. And I go out and uh, I do backwards progression. So I'll think about what's my next couple of goals, right? I have the EIWAs, I have the NCAA's, Olympic trials, and then hopefully the Olympics. So I start out by imagining that I've won the Olympics, and then from there go imagine that I've wrestled after imagining being on the podium and being in that first place spot, like imagine what the match of the Olympic finals is going to look like. And then I'll go back and, imagine what the Olympic trials will look like. Um, and then from there, NCAA's, imagine myself winning, imagine myself wrestling the finals match, and then, do all the way until the most recent thing. And I think that helps paint the picture of what it looks like to win, because I think a lot of people, and myself included, struggle with the idea of like, you know, something that I struggled with when I was younger was just like allowing myself to win. You know, even if I'm not the best guy, even if I'm not necessarily like feeling my best, whatever it is, you can't make excuses for yourself like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't win this. Like, no, you can, and you should if you try, right? So I think allowing yourself to open up to that idea of you can win, and you have to just like apply yourself, right? Everything's possible, right? Just as possible as I could lose, and that's very possible as well. But
the time is now to take your mindset to the next level with Wrestling Mindset. Make sure you go to our website, wrestlingmindset.com, and sign up for your free trial session today. Don't wait any longer. You want the mental edge right now. When you sign up for the free trial session, you're also going to get a copy of our free ebook, Building the Predator Mindset. This book has helped thousands of people build confidence, relax under pressure, get motivated, and build mental toughness in wrestling, school, and life. Make sure you sign up for your free trial session today.
painting that picture with my mental imagery of this road that I want to walk down, I think helps reinforce kind of everything that I'm doing.
Any reason you work backwards, where you start with the Olympics versus starting now? Is it to put things into perspective? And what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it helps kind of put everything into perspective, right? There's some mental practices that I do with my sports psych where it's like, 30 years old and I'm retired, and I'm however good, multiple time world champ, Olympic champ, and then look back at these matches that I won. Like imagine I was old and looking back. It helps you get a perspective, like, oh, like sometimes we make such a large, like, end of the world type of thing out of a tournament, when it's just one step along the path. um you know I I'm going to do well, right? Because that's what I think you know I can do. So, but yeah, working backwards I think helps put it in perspective and kind of take out some of the unnecessary stress that I think we sometimes put on tournaments.
Oh, makes sense. Now talk about how did the Cornell practices change or remain the same going into the EIWAs and nationals versus the rest of the year? Is there a change?
Um, I think we're really focused on um, sharpening our skills, right? We spent the whole season developing like, maybe the holes in certain areas, right? If there were certain things that got shown in matches, we take the time to address those. I think that's, we're done with the regular season now, so we're in the postseason. So there's less, we're not going to have any more opportunities to, see what we need to work on in real matches. So now it's just about focusing on what we have and what we're good at, and still focusing on those areas that we need to improve on, and just really heightening everything and preparing for that peak, so to speak, at the end of the season. Making sure that all the things are good. Our physical, our mental recovery, just getting everything that we need to be able to go out there and compete at our best.
Is there any extra emphasis on one aspect of the sport over the other around this time of year? Does it? Because I know most of the things probably remain pretty much the same, but is there more emphasis on recovery or mindset, or less with the condition? I don't know. How does it? Shorter practices, longer practices?
Well, I mean, we just got done with our last dual meet, right? So we were still, just about 2 weeks out from EIWAs. So we had kind of a grinder, a grit day, if you will. So we, really kind of dug deep and had some tough practices that would, not just test us physically, but mentally, right? Do you want to, can you stay in the fight? Right. And I think that's important.
Yeah, what do you do for a grit day? That sounds awesome. What do you do for a grit day? Lean into that a little bit.
Starters will be on the mat and basically just run some shark bait. So, you get 4 guys and they will rotate in and you'll stay in for, however many goes.
How long?
Uh,
Is it like a 1 minute period with each guy? 30 seconds, 10 seconds?
yeah, like minutes with each guy. So probably 15-ish minutes total.
That is freaking hard. Just for anyone who's never have done that before, have Division I wrestler who's really, really good, and they're fresh, and then you wrestle 1 minute with one guy, then 1 minute with another guy, and then you do, I guess, top each guy and then bottom each guy. Is that what you do? That's what we did. No?
Neutral.
Neutral the whole time. That is friggin' hard.
Yeah, so as you can imagine, you're getting tired and competition's staying fresh, and it is, even if you're much better than the other guys, it can, once you get to go, 4 or 5, minute 5, you're gonna start feeling it, and at that point, it's by minute 6, minute 7, it's not about wrestling anymore. It's about can you stay standing. And that's where the mental game starts. Because there's going to be times, realistically in matches, your opponents are going to be probably just as tired as you are. But what are you going to do when you're tired? Are you still able to keep going, right? Can you dig? Can you really get that extra mileage out of yourself, right? So, there's times where matches depend on that. And if you haven't ever felt that, and the first time you're feeling that is the NCAA tournament, then you're probably going to be in a little bit of trouble. So I think that's a good thing that we do that and really just, put it on display like this is real. This is what you're going to feel. This is what you're going to have to feel if you want to, really, really achieve your goals. So I think that's good. I think, we definitely do we work with obviously our sports psych for Cornell, and we do a lot of mental imagery and really focus on, just what we can to prepare to do our best out there, get ready for that peak.
Will he take you guys through like a visualization sequence as a team, or is it more of a talk, or writing things down? What is it? Let's do.
Yeah, so we do, his name's Dr. Greg Shelley. So he works us through some exercises. So it's a little bit of of talking, a little bit of writing, a little bit of, mental work, kind of, all around. We do it as a team, so it's you know kind of generalized, but it's all really good stuff.
Excellent. Now, how many of those grinder days do you have? That's just like is it a one-time thing just for that mental toughness, or you do it once a week? Because I know it's real tough. People think like, oh, you're good for the first 7 or 8 minutes. No, after 3 or 4 minutes, you're pretty darn shot, and now you're in survival mode.
Yeah, no, we only really hit one of those, because we're 2 weeks out. It's okay to really kind of put yourself in a pretty bad spot. But then again, we're focused on recovery. We're focused on being the best of us, right? So we don't want to do that, days away
Right.
from the tournament. So
Right.
so
Exactly.
we
What are the coaches? Go ahead.
yeah, so we just hit, we wrestled Sunday. We had a day off on Monday, wrestled hard Tuesday, Wednesday, and now we have off again on Thursday.
When you're in deep waters like that, what do the coaches say you should be thinking? And you with your natural instincts, what are you thinking that you should be thinking or want to be thinking? You get to that 5 minutes, 6 minutes in, and you still have more to go of this. Is it continue to attack? Is it hold my own? Is it catch my breath a little bit and then sneak one in on the guy? What should a guy be thinking in those grinders?
Personally, I'm not really thinking out there. So whatever, I'm just falling back and making sure that for me, it's about uh, keeping my mind still sharp, right? You get so tired, you get like that fog, you get like fuzzy, and maybe you lose focus and you're like kind of all over the place. For me, it's about just like being able to keep focused on something, right? Because I know that my body will keep up. Uh, even if it's like lagging behind, I'll still kind of find a way to wrestle through the position. Um, I think if you get like really, really tired and it's really easy to start focusing on like, okay, keep moving your feet. And then you only focus on moving your feet, right? And then you forget other aspects. So I think it's really hard to tunnel in on certain things or like think of certain strategies, especially when you're tired. I think you just got to practice going in, getting super tired, and continuing to do the things that you were doing when you were fresh. You know?
Yeah, and like I said, there's really just a trust that your body can do it. Like you said, you kind of said it before. I think that's big. Talk about your weight. How's your weight right now? What do you normally walk around weighing? And then the descent after the NCAAs. I mean, guys have done this before. They've won an NCAA championship and then go out and then win the Worlds or win the Olympics. Of course, then there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, this is a difficult move. You're breaking your body down the whole season," and other guys are fresh. Well, to start with the weight. What's your weight normally like, and how do you get your weight down then for right after the NCAAs?
Yeah, I've been slowly working at it because it's not going to be because especially wrestling 33, it's going to be definitely a little bit of an extra burden to get down to 25, right? So I'm working ahead of the clock, right? So I'm not going to wait until the week before to drop all the way down to 25. I've been kind of chipping away at it little by little. Currently weighed like around like 140 ish. So that's a pretty easy cut to get to 33. And then slowly but surely work my way down to around like 35, just through dieting, exercise, uh, certain exercises that focus on burning fat as opposed to losing water, cardio, things like that. And then just once I get into shooting range, then just pull out the water weight, and I have faith in my nutritional staff of Frank Pirelli and Training Lab, and I'm sure that they will do a great job of making me feel good while I'm down the weight.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like you've been shrinking your body throughout the season? And how has that helped? Do you see that as an advantage, disadvantage for first, obviously for the Olympics? Yes. For the NCAAs. how do you feel like that helps you or hurts you just mentally, physically, emotionally for just competing NCAAs, shrinking your body throughout the season?
I haven't really done like a whole lot of shrinking. I'm only walking around, 43, 44. So coming down to 40 and then trying to get down to 37, 35 isn't like a whole, lot. So I'm not necessarily I wouldn't say I'm sucked out. Um, and even, trying to get down to like 35, 37 for NCAAs, isn't necessarily a bad thing if I can still compete and perform the way that I do, not, lose any steam, then, there's really no downside.
Right, right. Absolutely. And then I know that's a little ways away, but not that far of ways away, the Olympic trials. Talk about your thoughts towards that. I mean, I know in one sense, it's just another tournament. In another sense, it's not. What's your mental approach for that?
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, pretty important tournament. It's going to decide whether or not I go to the Olympics, which is, been a dream of mine for a really long time. So definitely pretty high stakes, right? And because of that, I really have to focus in on, my preparation and really lock in for it. Most people only get a couple chances at it. So I think I have, this one, next one in 2028, and you know, possibly 2032, but nothing's guaranteed. So this, we got to make the most of every situation. So I'm really excited. I'm really prepared. Sitting in the semifinals because of my placing at Worlds last year. So we got one match the first day, and then two matches the second day, and then we're on the Olympic team.
Right, exactly. It's like you don't want to make too much of it because there is time, but at the same time, you never know. And so you want to always say, hey, the time is now to win. It's time to win. It's not, that my time is in the future. This is the time. Talk about how wrestling an NCAA season, having the practices, how that puts you in a better spot, more prepared physically, mentally, emotionally to wrestle in the Olympic trials when other guys haven't been doing that. How is that your advantage that you've wrestled a college season?
Yeah, I think the one flaw with the freestyle season is that the tournaments are spaced out pretty far, right? It's pretty hard to get like to get multiple matches. You got to travel to different countries sometimes, like often you got to do a lot to kind of to get to these tournaments. You know I'm wrestling, and granted, I didn't wrestle a whole lot this season because of recent injuries, but you know, I think the constant getting out there and competing really helps refine kind of your competition sense and your competitive mindset, right? I'm constantly getting feedback. What I'm doing is working, what I'm doing is bad, and I can make those adjustments. I think competing, and maybe for some people the season is a little too much competing constantly every single weekend, but I think it is good. It'll be beneficial for me because I did get those goes out there, and I did get to experience some matches before I go out to Olympic trials.
Excellent. All right, let's do some fun ones. Who are your favorite wrestlers to watch as a kid?
Uh, I didn't really watch too much wrestling as a kid. I'm not gonna lie, but
Even locally, it could have been anyone.
uh, you know, um, growing up, I saw, Nashon, Nico Megaludis. I saw, you know, Ramos. I would watch little guys because they're you know similar to me at least. Um, if we try to look up as a club, we try to look up old videos of my dad and stuff. You know, but yeah.
Okay, if you could time travel now as a world champion, if you could time travel and wrestle any other world champion at the weight you wanted at, who would it be?
Uh, Good question.
Or a few
I mean,
people, or just some first instincts.
I mean, the probably the obvious answer is I'd like to see how good my dad was in his prime. You know, when he was winning world championships, I'd like
No,
to.
do a
But
different guy. Do a different guy. That was your neck. That was my next question. Someone other than your dad.
you know, um, Arsen Fedzayev, really good Russian wrestler. Some would say, one of the best ever in history.
Yeah.
Uh, like to get a crack at him, see, where I kind of stack up. Um, Another interesting one would be like, go like way, way back,
Yeah.
like Achilles, like in like ancient Rome, and see like how my skills would differ from like, like I've mastered these skills, but he's grown up in like a warring environment. How different would that be?
You'd
That
have
could
to
be.
you'd have to go to Greece to get Achilles. Maybe you'd have to maybe wrestle Maximus in Rome, and then you tear these
Yeah.
guys up, and you're like, yeah, that really wasn't that fun. That guy didn't know what he was doing. All right, all right, you and your dad on on your best day in your prime when you if assuming you guys were the same weight. What do you think? What would be your keys to beat him? What would be his keys to beat you?
So I'd be a little scared around something like that because he was mean. It was a different time. They didn't have all the cameras around the circle. So it was just the one rep. I don't know. He could be a little mean guy. So uh, I'd probably just focus on my drags, my singles. But he is strong, stayed in good position. He'd be tough. I could see my dad. He was actually pretty big on throws. Something that he didn't necessarily teach down to me. But I could see myself getting thrown.
But are you going to come out on top? That's what we want to know. You might get thrown, but are you getting back up? Is he going to pin you from a throw?
I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't say for sure. He is two-time world champ, third at the Olympics, but I'm just starting out. So right now, I'd maybe give it to my dad, but give me a couple years and we'll see if I can't top him.
I saw one of his interviews on Flow, him saying that that in Russia, if you win it once, they call you ex world champion. You got to win it multiple times in order to be when they announce you. Does he mess with you and say that to you, like ex world champion?
No, no, I think he's just I think he's happy with my
Oh yeah.
accomplishments.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I wore the shirt. My sons love the shirt where it says genetics on there, and it's funny because my wife got her doctorate at Columbia in genetics, so I wear the genetics one, and my boys love the big the bear on the back breaking through. So your dad's club. All right, when was the first age you were able to score on your dad? When was do you remember the first time you ever scored on him?
Yeah, probably sometime in high school. Probably like, I had to get a little bit bigger than him first, but I think probably around like sophomore year. But like, I was by my sophomore year, I was, two-time state champ, probably ranked in the country at the time. Um, and my dad's in his at that time probably like early early 40s. So he's kind of getting on, So he's declining. I'm coming up. But I can probably sneak like one takedown. Uh, but then like you know he didn't really like that too much, so he would get up and continue to you know show us that we're not as good as him. So in a light way, yeah, he would take us down many times after that if anyone scored on him.
All right, if you could change one thing about wrestling, or maybe it doesn't have to be one thing. If there was a rule change or something you'd like to see different about wrestling, what would it be?
Uh, I think one thing that I'd like to see change in wrestling would be just like the US's focus on, and I'm not saying we have to change the freestyle, but just like put a little more respect on it, put a little more emphasis on it, because we see, you know, the NCAA tournament, and it is a large production. Don't get me wrong. You see just so many fans, absolutely packing out stadiums, right? Uh, and then you'll go to some very high level freestyle tournaments where the competitors are just some of the best in the world. Maybe we don't get the same support for those tournaments. So I mean, and this isn't necessarily something like a rule change, something that can be done overnight. But I'd love to see in the next couple of years like a shift and more emphasis and love for freestyle. Selfishly, of course, because I love freestyle. But yeah, I think that would be something that I'd like to see.
Makes sense. All right, one last question. If you could add one new move to your arsenal, what move that you don't normally do, what would it be?
Oh, good question. I could.
Or any
I'd like to
like
get.
some position. Yeah. What was
I'd like to get like, a good throw. I don't really have a like learned throw. I kind of just do it off instinct. Uh, like I have body, I grab, I just chuck over my shoulder, but I'm not exactly well practiced in any throw. I think like getting really good at like an arm throw or an arm spin would be like pretty cool, but I'm not good at it. I'm just not. Or even just like a whizzer kick, something like that. Some more like maybe I got to go train some judo or something, but like something like that. I think would be cool to add to my arsenal. Um, yeah.
awesome? Thanks, Vito. I wanted to throw in some fun questions at the end there too. Keep up the great work. You're saying the right things, having the right mindset, one thing at a time, putting time in on the mental, emotional side of the sport. That's key. So thanks for everything. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Gene. Thanks for having me.
Take care.